Welcome back to Axis Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of Blasted Tempest episode 24. Now, if you remember from last episode, we found out Hokage and Hanamori are putting on a show. They're play fighting in order to draw in the cruisers away from the pillar without harming them. So we get to watch the show, but we don't get to see the fireworks. So yes, I feel ripped off. But moving on past that, we are taken to a little cutscene at the end of the episode with Yoshino and Mahiro. They have taken over the survey ships. However, Yoshino has been shot in the process. And again, that's where the episode ends. And I'll hold my final thought and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this episode with Hanamori, and he's in front of the pillar. So it's either put up or shut up with Hanamori. I know, this is what he came to do. Hanamori came there to take out the pillar, so we have front row seats. But moving on past that, we are taking to a little cutscene with Seimin. Now, Seimin's real role in this little plan is just to put offerings or talisman on the bottom of all these cruisers. Now, I don't know if he has offerings or talisman on him, but regardless, he is putting them under each one of the cruisers, so at least his role in this little plan has been finished. But moving on past that, we do find out Hokage. Hokage is now praying to the enemy god. Really? This is not the time to be praying. You should have been praying before you even started this goddamn mission. But anyways, Hokage, she's praying to the enemy god while under attack by cruise missiles from the ships. Talk about cutting it close. Literally. Now, we are thrown with a little information in the next scene from Yoshino. So Yoshino is giving us a little information. He's alive, so obviously it's good information, right? Apparently Mahiro has switched the live rounds and the guns with blanks. But still, Yoshino did receive a bullet wound in the arm. So it wasn't a fatal wound, so Yoshino is still alive, but he is wounded. His arm has been shot, so that's a downside about that. However, we are taking to a little cutscene with Hanamori, and Hanamori has attacked the pillar, finally. So Hanamori has finally attacked the pillar, but the pillar grows back. Like, what the fuck? Really? So this pillar, which is part of the Tree of Genesis, has grown back, and it goes after Hanamori, and Hanamori is now getting dominated. Yeah, Hanamori, the guy with the Mage of Exodus powers, which was badass before, not so much. In fact, Hanamori, again, is being dominated by the Tree of Genesis. Like, I thought it was bad when Hokage was kicking his ass, but now having a Tree of Genesis kick your ass, that's even more embarrassing. It's a living tree. Well, an alien living tree regardless, but come on. It's dominating your sorry ass. Mage of Exodus, my ass. Anyways, we are taking to a little cutscene with Seimin. Now, Seimin, the offerings on the ship, or the talisman that he was placing, guess what? Have all gone off. There are now barriers around each one of the ships. Yeah, so they're going to protect the ship while the Tree of Genesis is attacking everyone. And again, the crew members that are on all these cruisers, they notice the Tree of Genesis attacking everything randomly, so they're no longer Tree of Genesis supporters, thank God. But again, Seimin, remember, he put those talisman as well as those offerings, whatever you want to call them, talisman or offerings, underneath each one of the ships. Well, the object was, when the time was right, the offerings or talisman in this case would go off, and a barrier would encase the ships so the Tree of Genesis couldn't attack them, so these crew members wouldn't be attacked. Perfect plan. Now we know what Seimin was really up to. Now we are taken to another scene with Yoshino, and he says what Aki was going to say. If Aki was here, what was Aki going to say? Why would Yoshino bring this up now? You're shot, you're in the front lines, and you're wondering what would Aki say? What would Aki say? How about what would Jesus say? He would say, get your fucking ass in gear and get the hell out of here. But no, let's say, what does, Aki say? I don't understand that. However, Mahiro has a flashback, and I'm not going to get into that, but again, Mahiro does have a flashback. Kind of sad, in my opinion. Now, we are taking to a little cutscene with Hanamori. Guess what? He emerges from the water with the Sword of Exodus. You heard me right. Hanamori, he emerges from the water after getting his ass handed to him on a silver platter with the Sword of Exodus. This is like the King Arthur thing, right? You're reading the books. He's got the sword. Like, oh, come on. So yeah, we see Hanamori. He unleashes hell on the Tree of Genesis. I'm like, it's about time. This is what we were waiting for. And success, guess what? There's no more Tree of Genesis. So Hanamori uses the Sword of Exodus and destroys the Tree of Genesis. And guess what? The Tree of Genesis is no more. And that's the end of it. We're done with the plan. It's done. No more Tree of Genesis. Now, moving forward with that, we're taking 1 month later on. So now it's 1 month later on, and we're taking to a little cutscene with Yamamoto and Seimin. And basically, Yamamoto is pointing out to Seimin, and Seimin's pointing out to Yamamoto. The crime rate has returned, even though the Tree of Genesis has been destroyed. Let me say that one more time. Even though the Tree of Genesis has been destroyed, everything has gone back to the way it was before. The crime rate has returned, and both of the trees have vanished. So the Tree of Genesis as well as the Tree of Exodus are no more. And guess what? Hayakawa, yeah, he wants Maharu to be his successor. Successor to what? What the hell is Hayakawa's new position? Is he the president? Is he the king? Is he the douchebag in charge of the government? Something like that. Either way, he wants Maharu to be his successor. I thought Hayakawa was the villain. I thought he had something up his sleeve. But I guess we'll wait for it, because you know what? Maharu is now his successor. I still really do not understand what that means in general. However, now that the Kusarabi clan no longer has magic, because, you know, the Tree of Genesis is no more, guess what? They now work for Hayakawa. So the Kusarabi clan now works for Hayakawa in the intelligence field. Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that working out for them. But still, the Intel division, that's a lot of members of the Kusarabi clan. I can see how that's efficient, but Hayakawa, I still feel like something is off. You have to be hiding something to hire your ex-opponents like that. Are you using the people to their fullest? We really don't know, but I'm not going to get into that. We are taking to a little cutscene with Tetsume from the Kusarabi clan. Yes, I did not forget about him. Guess what? 1 month later, he is now the chauffeur for, yeah, you heard me right. Tatsume is now the chauffeur for Hayakawa. Seriously? I know he no longer has magic, but that is just fucking hilarious. And guess what? Tatsume points out to Hayakawa, I may be your chauffeur, but I'm very loyal to Seimin still, and I will kill you in 1 instant. All he has to do is say the word. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You just basically said you were going to off your boss. I thought that was hilarious. But again, it's Tetsume for you. And Tetsume is barely ever mentioned in this anime series, and he's a great character. I found that was definitely worth mentioning, though. Now, Hokage, yeah, speaking of Hokage, 1 month later, Hokage no longer has magic. She is a normal girl, so she's been put in her place. Now she's just the princess of what? Exactly, nothing. She's not even a self-proclaimed mage anymore. Just putting that out there. Now, we are taking to a little cutscene with Hanamori. Yes, Hanamori is still alive. He did not die. And guess what? He's no longer the mage of Exodus. That's gone. Now, Hanamori, I thought this was definitely worth mentioning. He actually sent the letter to his ex-girlfriend, which her name is Yu-chan. Now, we've never seen Yu-chan. We have no idea who the fuck this girl is, but somehow Hanamori did send the letter to Yu-chan, and she is now talking with Hanamori. It's not official. They're not together yet, but they're talking. So the communication channels are now open, so more power to them. And somehow Hanamori never brings it up in conversation to his ex-girlfriend, soon-to-be current girlfriend, that he saved the world. Yeah, he never once brings that up. And I'm like, huh, that's definitely an open conversation, you know? It's an open... That's a breaker, you know. That usually breaks the ice when you're talking to someone. Oh yeah, I saved the world. So, anyways, we are taking to another little cutscene with Aki's message on the flash drive. Did I forget? No, I didn't forget. Yeah, if you remember correctly, before Aki died, she left both Maharu and Yoshino letters, and in one of the letters, she left a flash drive. So what's on this flash drive? Apparently, Aki points out there's going to be hard times ahead for both Maharu and Yoshino, and during the aftermath of what's occurred. So take care, be strong, and all that jazz. And then she jokes around with Yoshino as well as Maharu, saying, I'm about to get naked for you. She literally was about to strip on the flash drive, per se, on the screen that Maharu and Yoshino were looking at. And then she's like, fooled ya. It's like, thought it was kind of funny. Definitely cute. And again, it was a very touching clip at the end, so it was definitely worth watching. And both Maharu and Yoshino do visit her grave, by the way. Just putting that out there. Now, as for Maharu, Maharu punches Yoshino. Apparently, in the flash drive that Aki came up with, in this little message she left them, she points out to Maharu, you have my permission to hit Yoshino 3 times. And again, Maharu does punch Yoshino, and I definitely thought that was hilarious and worth mentioning. I'm like, okay, now you got 2 more punches coming, buddy. Yeah. Now, I thought this was also an interesting scene. It's called the It Looks Like scene. So Maharu has a date. I was like, what? Yeah, Maharu has a date Yeah, later on? Like with who? Apparently it's with a girl he saved from the Black Iron Syndrome. Tells Yoshino to do something about Hokaze. So Mahiro now has a date with someone we don't even know? Maybe it's Hanamori's ex-girlfriend. That would be definitely a twist right there, but no, I'm just putting that out there. But again, Mahiro has a girlfriend, or someone he's meeting for a date, and then he tells Yoshino, what about Hokaze? You gonna make your move, buddy? So we see Hokaze in the background. We see Yoshino on the mountaintop making his way down, and Hokaze and Yoshino, they meet at the end of the episode and they're about to kiss. That was the build-up, and that's where the episode ends. As for final thoughts, first of all, do Hokaze and Yoshino start dating? We really don't know. As for Hanamori, are we ever going to see your girlfriend called Yu-chan? Probably not, so I'm kind of sad to hear that. And Mahiro, you have a girlfriend. Who is this girlfriend? What's her name? We really don't know. And one more final thought I'll throw out there. Are the Tree of Genesis and the Tree of Exodus really destroyed? Is there no more magic in the world? And what's going to happen in 30 years from now? Because remember correctly, Mahiro said in a certain amount of years, I believe it was 30 years or, in the future, Mahiro was going to do something that would change the world without magic. I mean, now that he is Hayakawa's successor, I wonder what's going to happen. But again, that ends it with my final thoughts. As per my rating, are you kidding me? 4 out of 5. This was definitely a great episode. Very emotional, a lot of drama. Fight scenes, not so much. Yes, between Hanamori and the Tree of Genesis, kind of. And then we see, Hanamori and Hokaze kind of with their fake battling. But not a lot of fighting, in my opinion. It was mostly the emotional build-up. We get to see more of Aki and her message, her cute message. It was definitely a dramatic message she left. And seeing where everyone's at the end, a month later, definitely worth seeing. But again, final rating, 4 out of 5. And for the overall series, since this was the last episode, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5 for the whole series because it leaves you kind of fucked over, if that makes any sense. After the first 14 episodes, you have to restart the whole series again. Like, you start from a different point of view, a different area, and it's annoying as fuck. And the references they make to Shakespeare, as in Hamlet and The Tempest, kind of annoy the hell out of me. So again, final rating for the whole series, 3.5 out of 5. For the episode, for the final rating for the episode, 4 out of 5. But again, guys, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of Blasted Tempest episode 24. But definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe, check me out on Twitter, and follow me if you like. But let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think's gonna happen in the next episode that's coming out. But again, guys, that ends it for now. And I gotta go, I gotta hit the bricks, and before I go, I gotta say it, and I have to say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.